Did you ever long for a committed relationship with one person?
Oh, yeah, of course, but not with rock stars. They are great friends. They are protective as hell, chivalrous as can be, wonderful lovers. They make crap husbands. You don't marry rock stars. You keep them as lovers on your groupie little shelf in jars.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, Alison.
Hi.
Alison, where are you from? Where did you grow up originally?
Born in Silver City, New Mexico, grew up in Missouri, moved to Salt Lake City in the lovely 80s. Lived in Los Angeles, London, Las Vegas, Seattle, a few places.
What was your family like growing up?
Amazing. I really had a really great influence in my life. If you've ever seen the movie Dazed and Confused.
Yes.
That's my growing up right there, even down to the guy with the red hair and the black truck. You know, had a great influence with all the men in my life. My grandfather was president of Kennecott Mining Company in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we had kind of a nice little cushy.
You had both parents?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yep.
What kind of teenager were you?
Wild. I had a fake ID and went to the hotel bar to find the rock stars.
Really?
Yeah.
So that started young for you?
Yeah. I mean, I've met my first rock star at 14 years old.
Really?
David Lee Roth. It just happened to be, you know what the Masons are?
I do.
So there's a female side a lot of people don't know about, and it's called the Rainbow Girls and stuff, and you start at 12, just like you do when you're a Deemlay on the Masons. And we would go to statewide and nationwide conventions, and Van Halen just happened to be staying at the hotel one year. Ta-da!
And what made you think that chasing rock stars was going to be your thing?
It was just a natural, like everybody finds their tribe in life, the people that they feel most comfortable with and they feel they're most self with and not judged. And those just happen to be the tribe that I felt myself with, you know, so just kind of gravitated towards it.
What is it about rock stars that just attracted you?
There's a certain freedom to them that they don't conform to the normal life, that they just have a more open mind, open heart. They can get away with a lot more. They can get away with a lot. Yes, of course.
They're expected to.
Yeah, back in the 80s especially. Today, not so much anymore, but you just create bonds with them and you become like this person that they see in the middle of this chaotic world. You're in town for 24 hours a day, 48 if you're lucky, you know? So you become this beacon to these rock stars in the middle of this world that is chaotic, and they have this one person out on the road, two people sometimes.
And you're cool with the fact that they're going on to another city tomorrow and it's going to be another girl then?
Yeah, and it's not always like that because, like I said, you're in town 24 hours. People don't realize rock and roll is one of the most structured worlds you will ever be in.
Really? 7
a.m. to 2 a.m. every day. Same thing, like clockwork. And yeah, and it's a don't ask, don't tell situation. They don't, like, you know, there's a few English rock stars that knew I was dating one of their friends out of another English rock band. But we don't talk about it when we're together, you know.
How many friends or how many other girls were doing things like this with you?
There was Kristen, there was Danny, there was Davany, there was Marie, there was Antoinette. In Seattle, when I lived there, there was my friend Andrea in Las Vegas. It was Lisa and Amy. So, yeah, a lot of girls. Us. Yeah.
And you would travel or just stick around?
Oh, absolutely. In high school, I would tell my mom that I was going camping with a friend, and I'd be in Denver with Def Leppard or Seattle with Metallica or London with who knows who, you know.
I mean, I hate to name names, but who I don't even know how to ask this question, but who have you been with or who have you?
78 different rock stars probably.
Really?
Yeah.
So everybody in the...
Not everybody. Okay, like Vinnie Paul, because you create relationships. Like I was dating Vinnie Paul from Pantera for 8 years. John Entwistle of The Who for 13 years. James Hetfield for 5. That was me and Danny's, like, every groupie has that one band that is just the closest band, the center of their orbit. You're part of their world, and Metallica at the time was ours. So yeah, Metallica, Def Leppard, we were underneath Def Leppard's stage. You know, I mean, just everybody you can think of, minus David Bowie.
Everybody that came through town.
Yeah.
You would try to get backstage?
Oh, we didn't try. we got a call.
Soft White Underbelly is about giving people a space to tell their stories, even when these stories challenge what we think we know. Ground News shows us different perspectives in the media, which is why Ground News is a perfect sponsor for my channel. In a world where algorithms censor much of the information we receive, some of the most important stories get missed from our news feeds. Ground News highlights local news from around the world, giving you an on-the-ground perspective that national coverage might miss. The app and website empowers you to form your own opinions by presenting you with every article published on any news story worldwide. My favorite part of the app is the data it gives you on each news source as you read it, such as where it leans on the political spectrum, a factuality rating indicating how subjective their printed reporting tends to be, and who funds it. I particularly like their blind spot feed, dedicated to showing you news stories that are underrepresented in the mainstream media. You can check this all out by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link below. It's easy to forget how much bias can shape the reality we live in. And in a world where our attention is constantly being fought over, my Vantage plan easily helps me keep up with more important stories slipping through the cracks. So I encourage you to check them out at ground.news/SWU. Subscribe through my link to save 40% off their Vantage plan. And by subscribing or even gifting it to someone you know, you're helping hold the media accountable and helping my channel directly. Thank you for watching.
Back in the day, Gmail was people faxing each other, the groupies in each town and their phone numbers. So we'd get calls, hey, this is Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. Oh, hey, cool, Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. You know?
And they'd invite you to come backstage.
Yeah. Hey, we're getting in town the night before. We're going to be here for 2 days. Then the concert. Then we're leaving the next morning. So come hang out. So yeah, you'd just hang out with them, do stupid stuff like go up to Park City and do the Alpine Slide if it was the summer, or do some skiing if it was the winter. So it's not like you're just drunk at the hotel bar and, you know, landing on your back every day. It's you're actually doing things with people.
But sex was a part of the...
Oh, heck yeah. Got that high sex drive, you know. But it, like I said, it's chemistry. It's just kind of a thing that you walk into that hotel bar, you see the guys, you sit down, order a drink, wait for the night to happen, and see where you end up. Like I said, I was with the Masons when I met David Lee Roth, and we were at a statewide convention, and we'd be in our nice little baby boom style work stuff in the day in our little gunny sacks at night, and you didn't realize back then just how titillating that was for the rock stars to watch all these girls from the whole state coming like that day and night. And on the third day of the convention out of the 5 days, we were on the rooftop of the Hyatt Regency in Kansas City. It was a year after they had a dancing and a bunch of people died there. But anyway, so we were on the rooftop watching Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen play a little tennis. We were sitting with some virgin daiquiris in the hot tub. And all of a sudden, and I had seen him a few times over the few days, and all of a sudden this guy just splashes in with me and my friends into the hot tub. And I look over, I'm like, oh, it's David Lee Roth. Oh, yeah. And he's like, ladies, I think we need to buy you another round. And he bought us real ones. And then after a couple, he's like, you want to come down to my room? I'm like, okay. And my friends are looking at me. They're like, you know what's going to happen, right? I'm like, oh, I think so. And I had a choice. So the guy I was, you know, my best friend's boyfriend's best friend back in my small town who was my age and a virgin, or David Lee Roth to lose your virginity to. Go with David Lee Roth every time. And I went in the room, and I say this in my book, I was nervous about losing my virginity, but I was not afraid to be in that room. The second I walked in that room, I felt at home. I felt safe. And David Lee is one of the nicest, coolest people you'll ever meet. I hung out with him for years after that. Years and years, several times. But he's one of the most coolest, open people you will ever meet in your life.
It's great to hear.
And he always said, a hole is a hole is a hole, a soul is a soul. You know? And then the Scorpions, that was another really fun time. We would, they always do something really cool when we're around them. And they rented out a whole family fun center with the race cars, the putt-putt, all the video games. And we were racing the cars, and we had these ones we could run into each other. And I run into Matthias, one of the band members, because I was with the lead singer, Klaus. And I run into him, and I catch his car on fire and stuff. I'm like, woohoo, with my champagne. And then Klaus and I were racing in the stock cars and stuff. And yeah, those guys are always fun. I love the Scorpions. We did MTV Germany with them. I've been in a few videos from back in the day. Stuff like that, yeah. What other stories? I know there's good ones. Motley Crue. But Motley Crue, I mean, those guys weren't as fun. I think our most fun years were with Metallica, and like I said, with Pantera and Vinnie Paul. Pantera, those guys were always an adventure. We could get totally drunk one night, go out and put a sledgehammer to their friends' cars, and they're here, I'll buy you another one in the morning, stuff like that. Like those guys would just go off, like what every teenage adolescent boy wanted to do with lighting stuff on fire, smashing cars, those guys did.
With tons of money.
Oh, yeah. They just paid for it on the way out. You haven't lived until you bought a hotel room. At least that's what one tour manager told me after we bought one. And, just because they're rock stars doesn't mean they're great in bed. So the first time I had to dismiss somebody, I wanted Bret Michaels so bad, and Poison was opening up for Def Leppard. And they had to sing Backstage because David Lee Roth got sick and tired of Poison pulling all the women. So if you had a Poison pass, you couldn't go anywhere near David Lee Roth. But break the rules over here. This roadie that got Kristen and I to be the biggest groupies in Salt Lake, he was working for David Lee Roth and Poison. He's like, well, Bret doesn't like this, doesn't like that. He's like, so put on this lipstick, put on that. So we go over to the Poison's hotel. He knocks on Bret's door. Bret's out of the shower. He's in a towel. And he's like, here, Bret, this is your girl for the day. And Bret's like, come on in. I was like, cool. So he goes down, and I'm like, and I was 16. And I was like, is the paint drying? Ow! You don't use your teeth, dude. So literally I tapped him on the head. I go, excuse me. And he was like, oh, you ready for him? I'm like, no. I'm like, I don't think this is working for me. And I just really seriously got up, got my stuff, got a shuttle back to David Lee Roth's hotel, and went back to David Lee Roth. Second time that happened. The lead singer of Korn, Jonathan. I had a friend working for them. They were in Vegas, and we were all hanging out, and Jonathan and I had good chemistry, because it doesn't always mean because you have chemistry on your feet doesn't mean you're going to have it in the sheets. So he, really fun. We went up to his room, pushed me up against the wall, being all the fun stuff, goes down on me. I'm like, tap, 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 excuse me, sir. It's time for you to go. I'm tapping out. So I went downstairs, found monkey. I can't remember. Okay, it's so bad. I remember all their names most of the time. But yeah, I found the guitar player and had sex with him instead. He didn't get tapped out.
And so John Entwistle, you mentioned, you were actually, you told me you were with John Entwistle when he died?
Yes. Yes, he and I actually first met backstage in 1989. I was 18. It was 2 weeks before my 19th birthday. He was 44. And Sweet Connie from, what's the song, Sweet Sweet Connie? She's doing her act.
Yeah, from Grandpa.
But yeah, Connie Hamsey was out on the road. So they were
most
like,
famous
it's the old
groupie just from that one song.
Yeah, and it's the old groupie. Well, she was one of the most beloved groupies in history by the boys. Like,
even
three
before,
rock stars paid
even
off
before
her
that
house.
song.
Yeah.
We're an American band.
Yeah, and even after, long after, like that woman had more respect than anybody ever knows. But yeah, so when I met John, she was out on the road with him, and they were like, well, let's get the older groupie to meet the new groupies. So they flew me and Danny out, and yeah, we just ended up on the road with him for a couple weeks.
What is the quality the groupies have that just makes it work?
We don't fan out on them. You know what I mean? It's like, we're not going, that song, it means so much to me. Mm-hmm. No, we're just letting them be themselves. I always say, when they're done with the stage, you put that rock star in your road case, and I'll meet the man you are back at the hotel bar. So we date the men they are off stage, and we give them a time to be that man off stage, to be vulnerable, to share his own self that has nothing to do with the music, you know? So it gives them time to expand who they are, because on the road and when you're out in public, those guys don't get to be anything but the rock star. So groupies provide a whole different world for them. We provide a grounding. We take care of them. The number one thing a groupie's going to hear throughout your groupie life, go take care of your man. So that's what we kind of do.
Who's your favorite?
Oh, God. Oh, favorite. I loved Vincent Paul from Pantera so much. When I met Steve Jones of the Sex Pistol, he and I met our matches. If I was born a man, I would have been born. If he was born a woman, he would have been me.
Yeah, Steve's great.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's one of the sweetest people.
Yeah, I love everything about him.
Yeah. He's one of the coolest. We're both Virgos. Like, our birthdays are 6 days apart. But no, like, those are some of my favorites. John was obviously the biggest guy, you know, the guys that I had the longest relationships with. Metallica was our favorite in the 80s. We got up to all kinds of crap with them. had songs written about us,
And were any of these like, these are regular relationships? Every time you'd see them, every time they came through town, you'd get together?
More than that. They fly out on the road. I have their home phone numbers.
It's like a network of beautiful young women.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, not as big as a network as people think it is. It really is like, yeah, you have your tons of jump offs. Just those nameless faceless girls, the back lounge Betties, you got to leave town after the show by 2 a.m. Just need a quick fix in that back lounge. Groupie, road wife is something bigger than that. Road wife is the key word, is what we were called back in the day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So some girls are like guitar girls, some girls are the singer girls, some are bass players, some are drummers. What was yours?
Like I said, anybody, you always see that person on the poster and say, that's the guy I want. That's who I need. But it's just about the chemistry. So I could go and say, oh, I wanted Jakey Lee. In fact, the night I met James Hetfield, I was going after Ozzy's guitar player, Jakey Lee, who I had him in the palm of my hand. And he said, well, meet me back at the hotel after the show. I said, okay. I was walking out by the buses to my friend and I's car, and a hotel van pulled up, and it was Metallica, and I was accosted by James Hetfield. He threw me over his shoulder and tossed me in the van. And I was so glad, because the more we talked that night, the more the chemistry became evident. The more like, I like this person, and there's really good chemistry. Like, he wouldn't even let me go to the bathroom by myself.
What an exciting lifestyle for a young girl.
Yeah, it is when you're young. But then it becomes normal as you get older,
How did it slow down for you? Has it slowed down?
Yeah, I think it naturally does, because
the industry changed too.
It did, especially over 2020 and all that. When nobody was going out, people became a lot more protective. Like, I still go out to dinners and have drinks. It's not the same crazy party, but when I have a handful of friends in town, we still go out to dinner, we drink, we have memories, go to the show, hug, bye. See you next time.
What's your favorite memory of all those years? Oh, God. Tell me a story or two.
Okay, so it was the beginning of the Black Tour with Metallica. We were in Denver. They had 3 shows in Denver. They were in town the night before, 3 shows in Denver. We were leaving the next day over to Salt Lake. And the night before the show, we were at a strip club, and behind it was this rock bar. And we decided to go to the rock bar. So when you walk in, here's the little vestibule you pay. There's like a restaurant. Here's a stage where a local band was playing. Then there's this balcony, then up to the second floor bar. Well, they saw the guys in Metallica and the girls come in. They were like, oh, yeah, you could tell these guys just puffed up. We're getting all Metallica's coming in. We're going to have such a great night. Well, my friend Danny had a little too much to drink. So bathroom's 20 feet away. I'm like, come on, let's get you to the bathroom. Lars is like, no, I'll take care of my girl. So he puts her over the railing, and the drum kit's right here, the lead singer, the guitar player, and bass player. And she starts throwing up, and it starts bouncing off the cymbal, starts hitting the bass player. Lars is just waving, hey, like nothing's going on. I'm like, the bathroom's right there. So, yeah, that was one of the funnest nights with them. We put a bow in James Hetfield's hair and made him dance around like the Cowardly Lion, because he looks like the Cowardly Lion. That was a bet I won from Danny for $350. That was fun. And when they came out with the alphabets, they came out with a little book of the Metallica alphabets. That's because back in the 80s, we had the dirty alphabets that his tour manager, we were all sitting around bored one night, and the tour manager was like, hey, let's make up the dirty alphabets. Everybody take a letter. We'll make up the asshole, bitch, cunt, dick, erection, fart, that kind of thing. So, yeah. And my book came out, and all of a sudden they made a new alphabet.
Fun.
Yeah. But Metallica was a lot of fun. We had so much fun with those guys. Vinnie Paul, one of the most incredible nights I had was in Seattle when I was living there during the height of grunge. And everybody loves Pantera. Like, Vinnie and Dime were just the coolest guys you could hang out with. So when we were backstage, everybody who was grunge was back there. Chris Cornell, Kim Thayil, guys from Green Apple Quickstep, guys from Alice in Chains. And we ended up in Alice in Chains' studio while they were making one of the last albums. and listening to it before everybody else. And I introduced my friend Andrea to Mike Inez, the bass player, so they were still seeing each other. So we'd go to the studio, and if Lane wouldn't come, I'd get in the car with the manager, go knock on the door. He would come in, and I would have to sit in the back seat and pet him to get him to go to the studio of the car. So we'd go to the studio. And that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life, because you don't get that chance again with people like Lane, or, because he's gone, obviously.
Yeah.
But their last album, to be in the studio watching it happen, I think that's really kind of what groupies like, to be in that eye of the storm. We don't want just the concert experience. We want to be in the eye of the storm. And when you have moments like that, you just got to kind of step back and go, whoa, hold on here. What's happening? Because nobody else gets to experience it.
There'd be pregnancies, I'm sure, at some point.
Nope.
No?
Nope. Never got pregnant.
Nobody got pregnant?
Nope. It's the 80s. Everybody used condoms.
Is that right?
It was the if it's not love, wear glove era. You know what I mean? So no, never got pregnant.
That's a
never
surprise.
wanted to. Never wanted to get in that situation.
Because I've met a lot of young girls who are pregnant with kids from bands that came through Chicago when I was a kid.
Yeah, as we know, Dave Grohl, even as you get older. And it does happen. I'm sure it does. There is a girl that had the bass player of Slayer's baby that I know that he never knew about. He passed away without knowing he had one child out there, would have been his only child.
So back to John Entwistle.
Mm-hmm.
The night he passed away, what did he pass away from?
John he had a 75 to 100% blockage in his arteries and was already on heart medication. And one of the roadies brought some cocaine into the room. I don't do it. It's not my thing, but I'm nobody's mother. And that's he and his friend Cy, who is now no longer with us, sadly. And everybody in LA knew Cy. Cy was one of the coolest people. But Cy and his art dealer, Bill Everly, all did one line. Like I said, not my thing. But I'm nobody's mother. And he did one line, and he passed away while we were sleeping. And come to find out, a couple weeks later, when Homicide called me, because they were on the phone with me every dang day for months, that it was cut with GHB and ecstasy. And that's what actually killed him.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah. Because he had a girlfriend that was really, really addicted. I mean, she had dated Joe Walsh for several years. And if you're too hard partying for Joe Walsh, then dude, you got a problem. Not even kidding. And she passed away of cocaine overdose about 2.5 years later. Yeah.
Can you possibly date somebody who's not in that circle?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I absolutely have.
Is that too boring?
No, not at all. Well, I've dated pro snowboarders, a couple of them. So have I dated someone normal? I don't know. A couple crown princes from Saudi that one of them I lived with,
What is the common denominator with all of these guys?
Chemistry.
But they're all kind of very famous or wealthy or something.
Well, and somebody was joking with me. She's like, "You always liked your men with money." I said, "No, men with money liked me. I just like the attitude, the bravery, the adventure, and everything. My memories and my passport are very rich, and that's what appealed to me. Mm-hmm. That they felt no fear. They felt confident. They would go to the ends just to try and impress you, but they don't need to do that. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
It's like that's not what it is that impressed me. And I think that I was a challenge for a lot of wealthy guys because I made my own money and I don't give a crap about their money. So they had to figure out how to impress me otherwise. So I was kind of a challenge. So it was kind of fun being their challenge.
What were you like at 14 that you must have been different than all your friends at school?
I was shy. I just got done with the mullet, then went to the Madonna Bob, and living in a small town of 500 people when I met David Lee Roth, and was very awkward. Came back and left that town like a month later because we moved to Salt Lake City. So, but no, I was just shy, awkward, chubby, uncomfortable with myself. I didn't know who I was. I knew I loved the music. I knew I loved the men who made it. Like I used to go in my brother's room and be like, oh yeah, I want to marry Ace Frehley. Then he took his makeup off and I said, no, I don't.
And you were underage for a lot of these years.
Yeah, but all of them didn't know because back then I could take my sister's birth certificate to the DMV that said I was 21, get an ID with my picture on it, and I'm good. So a lot of them didn't find out until about 2014 when the book was released.
You have a book. Mm-hmm. What's it called?
We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie Alycen Rowse.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure you met some interesting people in all these years.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, Sweet Connie, who was one of the coolest people I've
ever
met.
What was she like? She's passed away now.
Yeah. She passed away about 2021.
I was actually talking about interviewing her, and then she passed away.
No, she was an amazing woman. She's probably one of the one of my favorite people that I met along the way because she just had the kindest heart and soul. Nobody ruffled her feathers. She never said a bad word about anybody. And she lived this amazing life and was just totally humble about it. And everybody just loved her and let her be her. And like I said, there was musicians that paid off her house, but a lot of people don't know she inherited money as well. She didn't need them for their money either. Yeah.
Did you ever long for a committed relationship with one person?
Oh, yeah, of course, but not with rock stars. They are great friends. They are protective as hell, chivalrous as can be, wonderful lovers. They make crap husbands. You don't marry rock stars. You keep them as lovers on your groupie little shelf in jars. No. But yeah, you want relationships with one person. I think as you get older, you kind of do want that. And like I said, I spent 8 years with Vinnie Paul or 5 years with Steve Jones. And I think that was the closest I've been to.
But if you're spending years with one person, are there other people that are coming through town that you...
Well, like when I was with Vinnie Paul for the 8 years, I met Steve Jones. And if I wasn't with Vinnie, I was with Steve Jones. If I wasn't with either of them, I was with my family or home with the holiday or doing a magazine or feature. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would go to Vinnie's house whenever, go to Steve's house whenever I was down here, go hang out, not stay with them, but because I wouldn't even let him stay at my house. No. But yeah, I mean... I think I kind of just like my own life. You know what I mean? I have my own goals. I have my own money. I have my own priorities. Do I need someone in it all the time? No, I don't. Do I want somebody? I don't know. I don't know if I want somebody in it 24/7.
Did you have any regrets in your life?
Only one. I would have finished college in Vegas when John died. I wouldn't have left Vegas, and I would have finished my degree there. Yeah. But no, otherwise, no. Not at all.
Yeah, it's a wild story.
Yeah.
Wild lifestyle. And drugs were never your thing?
I tried cocaine a few times, didn't like it. I sat in a corner quiet, clenching my jaw, didn't like it. Tried opium with weed, mixed with weed. That was kind of fun, but just never picked it up again after. That was the MC Hammer tour in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when we did that. But yeah, no, I was never really into that many drugs. Didn't try heroin, didn't try fentanyl, opium. Well, I did try opium, but just, yeah, it wasn't my thing.
So MC Hammer. So you would venture out into other types of music.
Oh yeah.
Was it the fame and the lifestyle that you like that attracted you?
It's because you know somebody working for them. But music for me, it's like I love all kinds of music, and every kind of music is an adventure to me. And yeah, we've hung out with MC Hammer. I've hung out with Ludacris. Hung out with Be Real and everybody from Cypress Hill and Steve Wariner, and I forgot I had sex with Toby Keith. Forgot about that, but Danny reminded me. So yeah, music is just really a cool adventure. And when you know a lot of the road crew, because people don't realize they're family on the road. Everybody's family. And these roadies work for different bands. And they're like, hey, we're bored. We're in Albuquerque. I'm working for MC Hammer. Come down. We'll fly you down. Okay. And you go and you hang out with the MC Hammer tour for a couple weeks. So,
what's your favorite memory of all these years?
Oh, gosh. It was a stupid, silly little moment that showed me how much I meant to somebody because Vinnie Paul, the drummer of Pantera, I call him Vincent Paul. And that was something his mother used to call him. And he's like, nobody calls me that except for me. And his mother had passed away. And his security, I was like, hey, Vincent Paul, we were playing 21. And his security guard was somehow sitting between us. And I was like, hey, Vincent Paul. And he's like, don't call him that. His mother just died. I was like, excuse me? Oh, no. Oh. And Vin was like, no, she can call me that because it's comforting when she does it. And I knew right then and there, the look on his face, everything that, yeah, it wasn't just me thinking we have this bond. We really did. And he did actually care enough to let me and feel safe and comfortable enough with me to let me into him like that.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So that was probably one of my favorite, for sure.
Yeah. Tell me some of the other crazy stories that you've...
So John Sykes, who we recently lost, used to play in Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake and stuff. He was in a band called Blue Murder. They were opening up for Billy Squier. And gorgeous blonde guy comes following you with an acoustic guitar, the billowy shirt. You're like, yeah, that is a cover of a romance novel. We end up in the back lounge of the bus. And he's like, well, I can't go down. I can't do this. Well, he wanted to 69. So he's like, look, there's an escape hatch at the top of the bus. Hang upside down. And I was like, okay. Flip upside down. Invented the upside down tour bus trick. It became my thing for years. And yeah, you can last about 5 minutes that way before blood starts rushing to the head. So yeah, that was kind of a fun thing because then the rest of the guys are standing outside the bus going, what are the feet and hands? They couldn't figure it out. So when I first got together with Stephen Peary, the lead singer of Rat, it was after the show. We go in the back lounge of the bus. He pulls down his pants. I was like, oh, nope, I'm out of here. I don't know what that, no. That smell was permeating, made this Great Salt Lake smell like sugar. It was so gross. I had to grab my little dress and walk away because, that's not going anywhere near me. No, dude, not happening. And like I said, the night we put the bow in James Hetfield's hair, made him dance around like the Cowardly Lion, and he even has it on video. His tour manager took a video the next morning. He's like, oh. So, gosh, what else? So many things.
Who are the wildest?
Oh, crazy wild Easter weekend with Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, Alan Covert, and their hot friend Greg, and me and my roommate Lisa when Happy Gilmore came out. That was a wild Easter weekend and one hell of an orgy in his room, And Alan Covert he's like, nobody's ever done oral to me on the balcony. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like, you're doing it. Just shut up. So got to take control of things. So yeah, we get up to a lot of wild stuff.
Who was the wildest band?
Gosh, probably Metallica.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they could get away with so much. The night we put the bow in his hair and we did the dirty alphabets, some cops came knocking on the door. And because the people in the room next, because there's always a just in case room that you can party in or just in case someone's out on the road, needs a place to crash. So cops come knocking on the door and they walk in and there's Lars with a pile of cocaine just sitting on that nightstand, not even thinking twice about it. They're like, oh my God, it's Metallica. So they run down, grab a little disposable camera, start taking pictures. And James is just opening the door. Yeah. And he's like, we'll put your name on the guest list for the show tomorrow night. The show tomorrow night was in Denver. So just another thing. We had a bathtub full of beer. None of us were 21. At the time. I think I was probably 18. So, yeah.
Do you ever feel like you missed out on anything by living this life?
No.
Kids, nothing like that?
No. I can't have kids.
Oh, okay.
No.
That solves that.
Yeah. I didn't get a biological clock either. I love kids. I think they're awesome. I used to work with learning disabled and autistic kids. But what you going to do?
No. Some people take to this life and never look back.
It took to me, and I never looked back. You think you're going to live this different life. And I went to college and I did all this stuff. And, I was just always ended up circling back home to my tribe. Because like I said, when you feel comfortable, when you feel like family to people, when you feel in a place that you can just be yourself and not be judged, that's where you're going to keep going. So. Yeah.
Alison, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
Never, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Don't be afraid to not stick to your plan. You know, life is going to throw you curveballs. Life is going to throw you doors. And even if it's an unconventional door, if that's the door you feel like opening, do it. Don't be afraid to ever be yourself. Don't be afraid how the world is going to judge you, because they're going to judge you. They're going to have their society imposed opinion about things. But just don't be afraid to be yourself, and don't be afraid to take doors that people normally wouldn't take. That's all.
You're an adventurer.
Yeah. Yeah. Always take the plane. If someone says, hey, I want to fly you out, say yes. You never know when you're going to have that adventure again. Because really, truly, the biggest, greatest adventure is love. Love for the music, love for the life, love for the tribe, love for the musicians, love for whatever. So take that adventure. Why not?
Beautiful. All right. Alison, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.